Hello and welcome to Nothing Happens. I'm Dave.
I'm Tom. We have a lot of opinions, but no facts. Okay, so, Disney villains.
They're everywhere.
Indeed, they're here right now. They're listening to us, or they're dying. We're going to talk about some of our favourite Disney villain deaths. What makes a good Disney villain? And bad Disney films that have a good villain that potentially saved it, or that did save it, depending on your opinion. So, let's just start with the obvious one. What does make a good Disney villain then, do we think? Or who were some of our favourites and why do we feel that they are good villains?
Well,
so what makes them good?
Well, there's an interesting... I always think there's sort of certain divides between what gives you a Disney villain. There's two things. There's one, do they have magic powers? And two, do they not? Because there are some fantastic Disney villains like Judge Frollo from Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Frollo's fantastic.
No magical powers, but therefore is still an incredible... I mean, mainly because of the voice. But
I think it is mainly because of this, but also his death is fantastic. And also because his last line is fantastic as well.
Yes, actually, absolutely. So you have a divide there, and then you have a divide between Disney villains that have no comedy and Disney villains which are quite comedic but can kind of wrap the two up quite well together. Like I suppose the extremes of that would be the difference between
Hades.
Well, I was thinking like Maleficent, for example, and Hades.
Yes.
So there's sort of like those divides in there. But if we're gonna go with like Disney villain deaths, I'd say Frollo has one of the best ones. You've got probably deep down, viscerally, one of the most evil. Like in a way, because it's more real evil. It's not like, because you've got Maleficent has a bunch of goblins and she wants to kill a baby because she got pissed off she didn't invite into a party. Pretty evil, but more bitchy.
Yeah, that is much more.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit more Mean Girls.
Exactly.
Judging by today's standards, anyway. That's definitely. I mean, I think you and I have both been in Maleficent at some point. Well, you much more than me. But anyway, sorry.
But then you've actually got but I think Frollo as an actual purely evil person is much more real because he's in a position of power that he abuses that's based on an actual, not history, but as as a time period that is supposed to exist effectively.
Yes.
And not only that, but sort of believes that he's doing good. I think that's a big deal. It's like all the other villains in Disney pretty much know they're evil, enjoy being evil. He actually believes that what he's doing is either God's work or it's much more deep than anything else.
I mean, The Hunchback's just a fantastic film. What's his name? Who is Quasimodo in it? Who was in Amadeus as Mozart?
Was he?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, a little fact for you there. Yeah, at least I'm pretty sure it's him.
Okay.
Maybe don't take my word on that, but I did look up. I did look up because Amadeus is one of my favourite films of all time, and so I did look up what else that chappie had done, and he was the chappie who played Quasimodo.
I love this sort of idea that it's like, don't look it up. It's like sort of Donald Trump approach to facts. Effectively, it's like when I spoke to Obama, he told me that he wanted to go to nuclear war with North Korea. This was literally the latest thing.
Oh right,
and
okay.
I don't know. It's that sort of thing. I found that funny.
It's
like, don't ask him. But that's what he told me. It's like
so
it's like a kid on a playground.
So I'm the Donald Trump of podcasting.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Right, great. Right,
just with fact checking. That's all this was saying.
I guess that kind of makes me the Disney villain of podcasting. Would he be a good Disney villain?
No, he's more of a. I wouldn't give him that much credit.
Oh yes, very good point.
Yeah,
very good point.
He's more like a villain from like one of those extra, not even like Blue Sky or one of those like whoever made the Lorax. He's a villain from that kind of universe that doesn't really get enough space on a podium, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we agree then. Frollo, excellent villain, and a very, I would say, an underrated Disney film. It's not on a lot of people's favourite list, but I do think it is brilliant. It's much more adult as well.
I thought it was fantastic. I remember going to see that in the cinema, and I just remember it as a general reaction at the time, though. Generally, people seem to be quite blown away by it because some of the animation, it was really like when they're sliding down the Notre Dame, the roof.
Yeah.
and you see it like them coming towards you. It looks fantastic, especially at the time.
Because they've taken it away from, because you have the first time they did that was in Beauty and the Beast, where they swoop around while they're dancing, and they kind of took that and went, well, this was pretty. Let's make it more actiony, and it was and it works really well.
I think Hunchback's definitely one of my favourite films, but and what this podcast today is all about,
great villain.
Yes, fantastic villain, and I do think that is kind of the hallmark for me of a good Disney film is the villain. So just go slightly off. Obviously, Frollo's up there, and for me, he's definitely in it. Do we want to do top 3 or top 5 deaths? We could probably do a top 5.
All right.
We could probably do top 5.
We'll have to whiz through it a bit quicker, I feel.
Well, maybe, but yeah, we'll see. So I think that would definitely be on ours. But that is fantastic, and just with that final line, and he will plunge the wicked into the fiery pit. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Even the fact that when he falls off, he sees the gargoyle with the devil face, and then falls into the molten metal, which then for some reason disappears at the end of the film.
Yeah, but
anyway, mild continuity area.
It's a Disney film, but that is fantastic. Just quickly, because we also have written down here bad films but with a good villain. So just going on sort of good deaths as well. Now you're much more of a fan of the Tarzan film than I am.
Okay.
But then again, I did come to that a lot later.
Yeah,
that was very much. I didn't see it when I was the right age, and when I saw it when I was an adult, it wasn't. It was fine. I mean, I enjoyed it, but I've not watched it since. But I did think that the villain death was fantastic.
Yeah. Well, it's once again, it's another villain without magical powers, but I think I still have a soft because just Brian Blessed.
Yes, of
Brian
course,
Blessed
of course.
is the bad guy.
I mean, Brian Blessed is a bad guy, and when he's trying to free himself at the end, he ends up hanging himself on the vines.
That is.
Yes, it's
He's weirdly a more comical villain, especially playing by Brian Blessed, who is known to be quite boisterous and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But he's actually bizarrely more sinister than I think more people give him credit for.
Was that what you mean as an actor or as
No. As the villain in it, he could very easily have played as a much more comical, and he does have his comedy moments, but he is actually much more straight-laced villain. Especially towards the end.
I think it's. I mean, he definitely is set up as the bad guy in it, but as it progresses, he gets worse, especially towards the end when he's like, "I think I'll stuff this chap though."
Yeah.
But again, obviously, very realistic as well. Like what we were saying about Frollo.
It's like Frollo has sort of religious fervour behind him, and then you've got cruelty to animals behind.
Whereas it's like just
behind
explore,
Clayton. Explorer, exploitative, that kind of thing.
Yes, very, very much so. But not. It's. I don't know what it was about that film. It wasn't that much of a big deal to me. The only reason why I would give it any sort of time really is for his death, to be honest. And I quite like shoo-ba-dab-doo-ba-dab.
Oh yeah,
I mean that's pretty good too.
Yeah.
But no, they're actually native to South Africa. No, South America. It is,
no, they're native to South America.
Yeah, I thought that was.
But it is interesting how it's like, because Disney films at that point had started to be known to have one person that did the soundtrack for it. So obviously, Lion King, you had Elton John.
Yeah.
And that was probably one of the most famous Disney soundtracks, I think. And then Phil Collins comes into Tarzan and goes, "I've got a soundtrack for you guys," and everyone goes, "That's nice."
Yeah,
that's no nice. One really.
That's nice.
I do enjoy some of the songs that are in it, but they're definitely,
apart from the shoo-ba-dab-doo-ba-dab,
they're not on the same level.
Name one apart from that.
What's the one? Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
I probably could name you one of them, but it's a bit like it's the one at the start. Where
Don't remember it.
But you've only seen it.
If anyone remembers it, then tell us.
Yeah. But the Disney death, especially because you actually see the shadow of him hanging.
Yes.
It's that sort of.
I did think that was rather good.
Because it really, I'm trying to think of how many Disney deaths there's been after that. Because you had a lot of Disney deaths before, but then post Renaissance. Did they kind of keep it out a bit? I'm gonna have to think about that.
Well, Hades didn't die.
Not really. He wasn't really alive, and he's an immortal anyway.
So he was never necessarily going to die. What's in from Emperor's New Groove? She doesn't die. Yzma,
she's a brilliant villain. That is an example, definitely, of a brilliant villain, not in the best film though.
Well, to me
it's not
that
a bad film, but
to me that film is great. Apart from the last bits, I'm not a fan of the whole squirrel academy thing.
No,
I didn't
yeah.
find that funny. I didn't
Yeah.
think that it was a good place to end the film. I just thought that was a little. It almost gets a bit too sickeningly sweet when he learns his lesson. Really, to be honest.
I mean, but that is the story, isn't it?
Well, of course,
I mean,
that
is the thing. It's the odd couple combined, and one of them learns a lesson along the way.
Yes, of course. Well,
But-
he's the one that has the arc. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
But no, I thought that she was a good villain in terms of comedy wise, and I still think that whole last fight at the end, where heavily, I did the sign there, the fight, where she lands on the trampoline and shoots back up laughing. I thought that that's all brilliant, but it's just that Squirrel Academy thing at the end and the whole water park bit was. I mean, maybe I was just a bit too old for it when it came out, but I think that how you were saying before that had come Hercules, or before that had come Tarzan.
Somewhere in the mix. Yeah.
So I think it was Hercules, Tarzan, then Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah.
Or maybe Tarzan came after Emperor's New Groove, because the animation of Emperor's New Groove and Hercules are very similar.
True.
So they seem to be much more back to back.
We'd have to look it up.
Yeah, we would, and we're not going to do that because we're not one of those podcasts.
But
we don't do research.
I
We don't know anything about what we talk about. We just have opinions.
I think I think there are two examples of when a voice is perfectly suited. The voices are always brilliant, but there are two examples of when how the person looks reflects how they talk, and it's Yzma's one of them, and I think the other one is Rattigan. Weirdly enough, from
Rattigan is very. He's such a good villain. One, because it's Vincent Price.
Yes, obviously.
So and he's the only one to have a song in that film as well. And as a fan of Sherlock Holmes,
technically.
Because
he's even on the record, the
Yes.
gramophone,
Yes.
as well, isn't he, in that too?
Yes, technically,
and that's so. That'd be interesting to know because he has a fall death.
He does have a fall.
What's his name from Gaston?
I don't
from
think it's
Beauty
a
and
good. I don't think it's a good death. I think it's fine and it services, but it's not like he could have got crushed in the cogs or something, or something with the tower at the end.
His thing is not, to me.
He's
not,
very scary at the end.
That's the thing. It's not the death that's the important bit for him. It's when it starts scraping off all of his ghosts and he becomes more animalistic.
And
is scarier.
He becomes the thing he's been denying the whole time.
Yeah.
What did you call me, a rat? But then at the end, he becomes this monster. Yeah, that part's brilliant. I mean, I've said before on this podcast that I'm a Sherlock Holmes fan, and I am, and I loved Basil the Great Master Detective as a child. I don't know if I haven't really gone back to it that much since, but it's a big nostalgia for me, and I do think that Rattigan was a very good villain. I don't think that he has a good death though, but like you were saying, it's the becoming the animal at the end.
It's another. I think it's another one that doesn't really get enough attention because it was just before the Renaissance, the Disney Renaissance.
Would you say this whole thing about the Renaissance? So what is it? So what is this Renaissance that you keep referring to?
Well,
because personally, I feel that Disney has always had a bit of an up and down.
Yeah.
Like in the
Black Cauldron.
No, well, that film was really bad, but that was an 80s one.
Yeah.
But
that was what is actually known as the Disney Dark Age.
Yes. But then, but
good
then,
villain.
Yeah, it is a bit too.
John Hurt as that guy is freaking terrifying as a child.
Yeah, but it's not a. But as we're saying, that's not something that I feel makes it okay. You compare that to, I think, the next Disney film afterwards was the Little Mermaid.
Well, The Little Mermaid was was known as the first in the Disney Renaissance. I think it was 1989. I think that came out.
Yes,
and that was because you had Disney's Dark Age, and then it was followed by the Renaissance. So then you had Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, all that sort of stuff came out. But basically, the 90s, our era was when things were good.
It's funny though because I've just realised as well that like the Great Mouse Detective, like Basil the Great Mouse Detective, that was considered during the Dark Age. I thought that was a 90s like Disney
No,
film. But
no, that was
but
just
apparently
after
not.
the Black Cauldron.
Yeah, that was the one after the Black Cauldron.
To be fair, though,
which
it did come out before Oliver and Company.
That
and
one is horrific.
I never bothered.
No,
never
that one
bothered
is
to see
just
that film.
so bad. But yeah, then but even the Rescuers as well. I mean, I thought she doesn't have a death in that though. She's just like on the pole,
Stuck on the
But she's terrifying throughout that.
yeah.
She is genuinely like, oh my god.
She is, but she is a kind of weirdly a bit of a knockoff Cruella de Vil. I always thought.
She is, but I found her far more terrifying than Cruella de Vil. I never found Cruella de Vil actually intimidating. Like, I never had nightmares about her, to put it bluntly. Whereas this lady, it's like she is genuine. I forget what her name is now, but
Madame
she is
Medusa.
Madame Medusa. She is genuinely terrifying.
I suppose
like,
it's because
she is mentally insane.
Because she's basically causing child abuse.
Yeah,
that is the like
that's it. And all for like this stone that she's putting up the. I think that she's not a nice person. But yeah, The Rescuers Down Under has the poacher in it. I've
never seen that actually.
I remember going to the cinema to see it. I can't remember at all if he dies or not.
I've heard that is as a film, as a sequel, because I think that was Disney's first sequel that came out of the cinema, at least. Because
I think it's their only sequel that's come out of the cinema.
I guess Toy Story doesn't count.
Yes, Toy Story's Pixar. We're not talking about Pixar here. We're
no.
talking about Disney classics.
Actually, I suppose because so yeah, is that true? So because all the others have been direct to release, a DVD release or whatever. So there was like Return of Jafar and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Speaking of which, are we reclusive?
Are we reclusive?
Very
tough.
We are very reclusive. Are we including Jafar's death in this as it's not a cinematic release? Because technically,
it's a really good death.
It's a fairly good death.
I mean, the way he like screams and spins around. I mean, fair enough, the animation isn't great and the story's a bit nonsensical.
Yeah,
but it's just like, I don't know. I'd count it.
I mean, I think if you want to count it in yours, fair. I mean, I think that my favourite Disney villain death of all time my favourite Disney film of all time is The Little Mermaid.
Ursula.
I think Ursula is.
I mean, she's huge. She gets speared by a boat. There's lightning involved.
She gets speared by a shipwrecked boat that she has brought up.
Yeah, true.
That's just. I mean, what's his name? Chappie steers into her. But
Eric?
Yes, Eric.
Yeah,
God, you've got a real way for words. Real knack for remembering names.
Yes, I remember my Disney princesses.
Yeah,
princes.
Princesses.
I'll just drink more.
Yeah. I think she encapsulates the perfect Disney villain. She's intimidating when she needs to be. She's also got a great deal of sass. She has a fantastic song and a fantastic death and a good motive.
I suppose that is the thing. It's like a good song to go along with it does kind of add it, because you don't have that many. Because you do have Scar. Scar has an excellent fucking song. Those are probably the best two Disney villain songs, I would have to say.
Yeah, I mean, Ratskins isn't bad. It's pretty.
But it's not very. You can't really. You don't really sing it, do you? I mean,
Frollo's is pretty good. Like fire.
Oh, actually, no, that's true. Actually, I forgot he had a song.
Yeah, his is definitely up there. I mean, so okay, right. So let's sort of get back to this. The best deaths. I mean, for me, would like Ursula, Frollo. I mean, are you including?
Scar? Torn apart by his own minions.
Yes, that is genuinely. That is generally pretty good.
I was trying to think because as in regards to, because I'd imagine that Frollo died fairly quickly, Ursula died fairly quickly. I'd imagine Scar's took a bit longer. Like, it's quite horrific.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely. It's not a pleasant way to go, is it? I mean,
which Disney death would you like to go?
Well, I guess do you want it to be over quickly or do you want to be remembered? Is the thing. Could I take being speared by a ship? I don't know. Would I like to fall into a fiery pit? Or, would I like to just...
Well, I'd imagine that in his... Because the thing is, it's like, you're falling from a great height from Notre Dame, head first with a gargoyle on top of you, and the thing is, molten iron is going to be, you're not going to slosh into it, are you? You're going to hit it with impact. So I'd imagine he just crunched and he was done.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine
pretty
that was
much.
I think that's probably the quickest out of all of them. We're really going into this.
Yeah, that's
I feel like we need
don't
to do
know
like
if I could-
scientific videos on.
I mean, I
how
don't. I
quickly
mean, I don't think that Ursula will have died that quickly because she gets speared and she just sort of like, like
And then
collapses
it
into
takes
water.
her a while
But
to-
all of her tentacles go in. But you know, she's stabbed in the stomach, and if you're impaled in the stomach, you don't die instantly. And she can breathe underwater. She just sinks underwater.
Yeah, but she doesn't. She does that kind of. I don't know. It's just going. But like bits of her rain down, and when she's dead, her magic is quickly reduced, and then all those weird glugly things.
Oh yeah, that is
So,
true.
you
She
know,
does
like,
it. She does
it's
disperse,
fairly-
doesn't she?
disperse.
Yeah.
That's probably a
Yeah,
better
it's
word
fair.
than
Good. Yeah, fair. Okay. Well, I mean, let's talk about some of the villains then. Because I don't think that we're going to get a top 5 deaths again.
No,
we never seem to be able to get a top 5.
Well, the thing is, it's like okay. So Maleficent has a great death.
Maleficent.
So-
Remind me what her death is again.
So she turns into a giant dragon at the end, and then she gets speared through the chest, and then she like falls off the cliff, and then she turns into like a weird black robe.
Yeah,
So
I mean
that's,
that's definitely up there in terms of a death.
It's definitely
Yeah.
a great transfer. It's like another great transformation that leads to a climax that becomes a death. It's up there.
It's
with
very
that
classic Disney villain,
Yes,
basically,
very
isn't
much
it?
so.
Yeah, it's just become something bigger, and
That would
yes.
definitely be in my top 5. Going through, Hades doesn't die.
No, Hades
Yzma doesn't die.
Pocahontas doesn't have a good villain, really.
Well,
does she?
it's not Ratigan. Oh, is it Ratigan? Is his name Ratigan?
In Pocahontas?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think his name is like
Nah.
Lord. No, his name's like Lord Ratigan or Lord. No, Ratcliffe.
Ratcliffe. Oh, okay.
That
I was
was
going to
it.
say.
Yes, yeah.
Can't be Ratcliffe.
Weirdly, the same voice actor who plays the villain in Pocahontas is the clock from Beauty and the Beast.
Really?
Yeah, just a weird little crossover.
Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The clock, I mean. I never really...
what's his name? You've got another fall death with Gaston as well. So that's because he
Gaston?
Yeah, from Beauty and the Beast.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I really didn't like Beauty and the Beast.
One of my favourites. Those.
No, I don't care for it really as a film.
No, fair enough.
It was just, I know it.
Tangled.
Tangled I haven't seen.
You haven't seen Tangled?
No.
Oh, I thought you said you had by now. I swear we've had this conversation.
No, I think I said that I've heard that Tangled is better than Frozen.
Yeah, of course. But
Well, yeah, but that's all. But that's all I
I'd
know.
very much recommend that. And the death, I won't say what it is. You haven't seen it, but the death in that is really good.
Okay, well, I will definitely watch
Yeah.
that. I may even watch that tonight when I go home. So Mulan, does he die?
Well, I never thought he was a. What's his name? Shin.
Is it just
Shin?
Attila?
No. Well, it's a version of it. Effectively, it's a hum. It's the.
I mean, again, Mulan.
Shan Yu.
Yeah,
that's
I
his
mean,
name. He's just a bit of a meh villain.
I just never liked Mulan as a film. I'm going to be honest. I think it just really annoys me. For me, you can't play fast and loose with history to that extent. you can't have something that pretty much resembles Japan, where they all have the Japanese flag, and then some Hun shows up and says, "Your emperor built his great wall. I had to do something." It's like, what is going on here? It's like, are you that what? Are you that ignorant to Asian culture that you think Japan had a great wall? Like that is just insane. So that just really, I might be wrong. I could be remembering it all squiffity diffity.
Well, I was trying to think because you bring this up. I remember us talking about this, and you think that there was like a Japanese symbol flag on the tent when she's recovering. Is that the bit?
There is. I swear that
Is
there
there?
is. I swear it's like I swear it's the Japanese flag that is on this, and they're all
Right.
samurai. They're all samurai. They are, aren't they? I swear they are. Her father is an old samurai. It's like the armor. I swear it is.
I'd have to do more research.
I mean, maybe. I can't be bothered looking it up now, and we're not going to look it up because we're not that kind of
But,
podcast.
but that's just like that's a Disney. That's more of a comedy Disney death because he's blown up by fireworks by Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, I forget that Eddie Murphy's in
But
there.
he's pretty good. I like Eddie Murphy in that film.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with Eddie Murphy.
So we've had Jafar, Sword in the Stone. She doesn't die. She just gets chicken pox or a version of that.
I do love that film.
Oh
though.
no, it's
I do really. It's just, yeah, I hate sunshine. Yeah, there's not really much you can. I don't think she's really the villain in it though. I was gonna say
Lord of the Rings.
I was gonna say Lord of the Rings.
Really drifting now.
Sword in the Stone is probably that I can think of the only Disney film that doesn't actually have a "this is your villain."
No,
There isn't an actual
because you're not supposed to like the fat guy or the cousin or whatever the hell he's supposed to be.
K.
Pennymore. No,
I was trying to.
you're trying to remember Penny.
I was
I knew
trying
you were
to
trying to
remember
that bit.
Pennymore. It's Pennymore. Yes, that's it.
So you've got fat guy, a pike, a fat squirrel. Is she a villain? Let's have her.
She pretty much. Yeah, it's much more. It's much more that. It's much more that the whole world is a villain.
Yeah.
Is a villain against Arthur.
Yeah, true.
It's like so everything is, but there isn't really an actual. Because Madam Mim is just comic relief.
Yes.
Her song is ludicrous. I mean, she is insane.
Yeah.
She is just classic sort of hermit yeah. I mean, Merlin's insane as well. That film just has some great songs in it and some fantastic animation. It is hilarious. It's just a really good comedy. I mean, Robin Hood has a good villain, but again, he doesn't die.
No.
Jungle Book Scar doesn't die.
Scar.
And Scar.
Shere Khan.
He has a scar.
Different
doesn't
cat.
he? Yes, that's it. Yes.
Same mammalian grouping, but
I'm just gonna say it here and now. I don't think Jungle Book's a good Disney film. I
remember enjoying it a lot more when I was younger, but I have seen it more recently, and it does drag.
Well, we agree on the same thing, that the thing at the end of it. Yes, you should go back to where you came from. You belong with your own people.
Yeah.
It is sort of, well, no.
You're supposed to be happy that he goes home with the boring human to the village, and
It's like, forget who's loved you your whole life so far and who has raised you and done a damn good job raising you and has protected you and has taught you, like,
which I'm fairly
so much.
sure is not what happens in the book.
It's not what happens in the book. He goes back to the village and hates it, and they don't like him, so he goes back to the jungle. But yeah, I think the only reason that film gets the love that it gets is because of the songs.
Yes, no, I mean to be fair, they are really good songs.
Yeah, I will give that its credit. But apart from that,
because they had like Louis Prima, and they actually had like proper recording artists that were involved in that as well, which I think may have been like one of the first ones which they did.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, so have you ever seen Meet the Robinsons?
Meet the Robinsons? No.
Right. Okay. Do you know who the villain in that film is?
I don't even know the film.
Right. So the film is about a kid that gets taken to. I watched this a very long time ago.
Right.
And it's about a kid that gets taken to the future and meets this weird family who are the Robinsons. So Meet the Robinsons. Do you know who the villain in that is?
No.
It's a hat.
What?
It's a hat.
Okay. So wait a minute. What?
It's an evil robot hat.
Is this a Disney film?
Yes.
Is this an actual film?
It was one of those. It's on the same lines as like Chicken Little. It's that era.
Wait a minute. Isn't the Meet the Robinsons one the one where it's like the villainous guy with the mustache? And
yes.
He's saying,
no.
But he's saying to the T-Rex, "Why aren't you seizing the boy? I'm trying. I've got really small hands."
Yes, that is the same film, but he's not actually the main villain. The main villain is a hat.
Oh well, that's massively disappointing. Because I loved that. I just saw the trailer. And I was like, I've never laughed so much. I mean, I probably have, but I don't remember having do it since.
It's an odd one. I think I kind of vaguely, when I was much younger, I think I was like, yeah, that was kind of funny, but I've never watched it since. I just remember thinking to myself at the end of it, going, the main villain in this is a hat.
I mean, that's pretty.
I mean, to be fair, it's an evil robot hat, but still.
So, Emperor's New Groove is 2000. I mean, that's after Fantasia 2000. That's pretty. I mean, that was.
Which is weird. So it came out in 1999. You'd think it would. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, maybe it came out at the turn.
Because the original. Weirdly, the original of Fantasia had that weird giant devil thing on Night on Bald Mountain, didn't it? But then again, that doesn't die.
No, he doesn't die. He
No.
just like goes back. That's
Have you seen Princess and the Frog?
no.
That is another great Disney death. That is
Right?
a brilliant
Okay.
Disney death,
Okay.
and I'd actually recommend the film as well. But yeah, really can't talk about it. But yeah, great Disney death in that as well.
What the hell is Brother Bear?
Oh god, that was. It's based on like an Inuit legend about a guy that becomes a bear, and then he learns
Actually,
a
I think I
lesson.
vaguely remember this now. I think I vaguely remember this now. Actually, yeah. Atlantis. Did anyone ever watch that?
I did. Really good, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I and also has a. It's an alright. It's got a good villain, not the best death, but it's yeah.
Because all I remember about that was I think I just started a new school, and I remember like in my cereal in the morning. There was
just a Disney film in my cereal.
Oh no! It was
Just
like,
Michael J.
back
Fox
when-
just
do they-
fell out.
do they even do that still? They still do like little toys in cereal anymore?
Maybe.
I mean, I don't know. I don't eat cereal anymore. But I remember that being
Really,
a
at
big
30, you just
No, I don't. It's like, but you know how you used to, you get your Cocoa Pops or whatever, and you buy them just because there was a packet of something in there, and
cocaine.
What?
I don't know.
What?
Clearly,
What do you know?
clearly you had very different Colombian cereal than I did growing up.
What? Where has this gone?
You said you had a
No,
packet of them.
okay. I only remember Atlantis because the toys that were being given away with your cereal at the time, and I never saw the film. I just liked the little toy things that came with it.
It's very. I really like the animation style that they've done with it.
Well,
It's
again,
a
that was
very-
sort of in that like Emperor's New Groove and
Yeah.
Hercules style.
But
wasn't
no, it wasn't. It was like Emperor's New Groove with a lot more depth and shadow to it.
That just sounds like Hercules.
You'd have to watch the thing to.
All right,
Yeah,
okay
but-
then. Well, well, maybe I'll watch the thing. I
Yeah.
don't know.
But no, that was. I'd say the villain in that isn't particularly memorable, but the film itself, it's got the what's his name, Martin from Frasier in it.
Yeah. Okay. So
John
that was
Mahoney.
a film that he just popped up in recently. I tried to watch. I think it was Moonshine or Moonstruck or something that's on Netflix, starring Cher and Nicolas Cage. And
What?
yes, yes.
There's a film with Cher and Nicolas Cage.
Yes, I kid you not. I kid not.
way.
It was on Netflix right now. It might not be anymore. But I tried watching it the other night, and it's so like heavy Italian, like New York, like oh my pastrami kind of whatever.
What, Cher doing a?
Yeah, no, Cher's doing that.
Oh my god!
And it's like, and and Martin from Frasier just pops up
John
in
Mahoney.
it, and he just pops up in it just randomly, just at the beginning, and gets laughed at because the man that can't control his woman is weak. And as soon as that line had been said, I was like, I don't know if I can really be on board with this film anymore. It's but yeah, that's a
side note.
That's a big side note, and it doesn't have a good villain death in it. I'll tell you that.
Oh dear.
But I don't know if there's much more to necessarily.
Oh, okay. Here's something I've always wanted, sort of thought about. So,
Okay.
now, is it technically a villain death at the end of the Aristocats? Because what happens is the butler gets locked in quite a small case on his way to Timbuktu with no air holes and no food and water. Now, it's set in what? Late 19th century Paris, and it's going to Mali in sub-Saharan Africa, like and what? So he dies in the box. He clearly dies on the way because it's not like he's not gonna get there Amazon Prime speed. He's going to get there in like a month. So he clearly dies in the box.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I'm sorry, I totally forgot that film until just now, and
I will never forget it
actually-
from Uncle Waldo. That entire bit that the drunken British geese they run into.
Oh, I don't remember.
Prime
that.
country
the me-
goose,
the me-
stuffed with chestnuts,
I-
and basted in white wine.
I have no memory of that bit.
So funny.
The main thing I remember about that film. When did that film even come out?
Oh God!
When was
I
it?
think that was before the Dark Age. That was like after Sword in the Stone. I think it's like 1970 odd.
Was it 1970 odds? Okay, so Peter Pan's 53. I mean, they remastered a lot of this stuff.
No, true.
And like the so where even is
Hang on.
We pulled up a list to do some research
just before
here.
Robin Hood.
Just before, so I was in the cinema. They must have done a re-release because I remember seeing that in the cinema, like on a
Really?
rerun.
Okay.
I vaguely remember it because the main thing I remember from it is when the butler goes back to try and retrieve his hat for some reason from the dogs,
Yes.
and then he cycles off with a haystack on top of it for some reason. I don't know why. And the dogs are listening. He's like, "You won't believe it, but it sounds like a haystack riding on top of a bike." And that's the main thing I remember from that film,
really weird.
apart from the song "Everybody Wants to Be a Cat."
I have not seen that film in a long time, but I actually, now you're describing it to me, I forget how funny it is.
It is hilarious.
So I may have to watch that again.
Yeah,
now.
I mean, it is that is something that I think that early Disney films did, is that they did nail comedy.
Yeah.
And he is much more comic.
Oh, he's very comedy Disney villain.
Very comedy Disney villain, even though again it's that sort of cruelty to animals thing with whatever he does with the cats.
Yeah, but it's not
voice.
quite skinning a bunch of puppies for coats. It's giving them sleeping tablets, and then did he just leave them in a field or something? It's sort of it's the Disney-fied Disney version of the Disney villain.
Yes, it is. It is. The main cat in that as well, the hero, has the same voice as Baloo.
Baloo,
yeah.
And in
Actually,
Robin Hood as well.
Yes. So actually, that's 3 Disney films he did in a row. He did Jungle Book, then Aristocats, then Robin Hood.
Ah, okay. Playing what? So we went bear, cat, bear.
Yes,
quite a Venn diagram.
You're burning the chow. Yeah, Robin Hood is actually those three are all very comedic.
Have you seen the meme on online about how to get the Infinity Stones out of the gauntlet?
Oh no!
And
What?
It's basically just Thanos with the glove, and it's like just a tagline saying it's like, I can get them back, and then they do a bit of where Prince John is holding out his hand to you may kiss the one,
yes.
like with all the gems in his mouth.
Nice.
I don't know why that really fucking tickled me.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. That person deserves a medal. They really do. Oh my god. You can hold all those Infinity Stones in your mouth. Imagine what would happen to you. You'd just... God.
I mean, Disney, you could make it... You can do a crossover now if you want.
Oh, God. Can we please...
A Robin Hood Avengers Infinity War crossover.
Little John is the saviour of the Marvel MCU.
Right, that's the ending. That is now the official ending to me.
That is it.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's not...
on that note, I think that's us done. So, what were we saying then? So we like... So if we're going to have top 5 between us...
top 5
Ursula...
Fro.
So Ursula from Little Mermaid, speared by a ship.
Yeah.
Frollo from Hunchback of Notre Dame,
Yeah.
falling into molten lead, or whatever it is. Scar, Lion King, torn apart by hyenas.
Yeah.
What were the other ones we liked? Oh, Aristocats, locked in a box and died on his way to sub-Saharan Africa.
Yeah, to be honest, I put that one in there just because it's kind of a bit of a comedic death for a bit of a comedic villain. It's like, well, it is slow torture of someone, really. It's actually quite dark. And you know what? I'll throw Rattigan in there just for his transformation.
So you don't want Tarzan death?
No, because thinking about it, I'm not invested in that villain enough.
Okay, fair enough.
Whereas, I do feel that, because falling off, Big Ben is far for a human. For a rat, it's even further. So it's what our equivalent of falling off maybe the top of the Eiffel Tower or something like that.
Even higher than that.
Probably even higher than that. So yeah. That's a long way.
Especially as well because if you think. I'm trying to think of the science behind it, but yeah, a rat would probably fall at if you imagine a rat falling at that speed versus a human of that size in the same thing falling at that speed would probably be quicker. I don't know. There's a lot of maths I'd have to go through.
So you're saying that a rat would fall slower as well because it's body mass?
Well, no, because a rat and a human probably fall at the same speed.
You reckon?
Well,
the body mass of a human is more, so surely
true, but terminal velocity doesn't. From a certain point, it doesn't actually difference, does it?
Yeah, but if it's off Big Ben, I'm pretty sure a human would hit the ground before a rat. even if it's just a couple of...
And that's for the next podcast after
Okay.
we've tested this.
There we go.
Thank you very much, and we're going to leave that there. Who do you think would hit the ground first?
Yeah,
a butler,
comment.
butler in a cage on his way to sub-Saharan Africa, or a rat voiced by.
If he's on his way to there, then he's not going to hit the ground. Who do you think would hit the ground first? The butler in that sack, or falling off Big Ben, or Rattigan? Who would hit first? Give us some equations.
Give us an equation. Yeah, please. I would love to get the equations on that. Good night.
Night.
Well, thank you for listening. If you've made it this far, congratulations!
If you would like to contact us, you can do that via Instagram or email. Our email is andnothinghappens@gmail.com, and you can find us on Instagram @andnothinghappens.